Hello and welcome to Frenzy Precision Fishing. My name's Andy Neal, this is Steve Barraclough. We're here at the fabulous Larford Lakes Complex to talk you through how we go about fishing a 5-hour match here. I'm going to be fishing the Specie Lake, Steve's going to be fishing the Match Lake. Steve, how are you going to attack it?
I think what you've got to do is be a positive. No matter where you sit on these lakes, you've got to be positive. And the approaches that we'll do, we'll see that how positive we're going to be. You know, such as things like shallow fishing, you know, fishing down edge, things like that. We're going to cover these options. I mean, obviously it's going to be slightly different where you're set.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm sitting on the Specie Lake, and as we've discussed, we both know the venue relatively well. We've got a bit of experience here, so we know how heavily stocked and how prolific it can be. I'm just going to sit here on the Specie, hopefully extract a couple of the big ones that the place is famous for. Yeah. I'm going to fish pellet, wag and bomb. Okay. Then I'm going to come short and fish some paste. Yeah. And then we're going to go down the edge for a few big ones later on. Yeah, how are you going to fish yours?
Well, as I said before, I'll have a shallow line, you know, like around 13 metres. I'll fish down edge because, like I said, there's a hell of a lot of fish that come down edge on here. But I'm also going to have a rig underneath my shallow line because I think it's important that you don't, although you've been positive, you've got to cover your options. And that don't mean having loads of rigs set up, it just means just by fishing that one line, I'm going to have a rig underneath it as well. Right. Okay, you know, I mean, it's bright and sunny, they might not want to feed shallow, although the fish look like they're shallow. Yeah. Sometimes they're just not feeding.
Well, that's enough chatting, mate. Let's get on with it, shall we?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, as I explained, I'm going to be fishing 3 lines today. I'm here to attack the place, so I'm going to keep it nice and simple. I'm going to start off fishing a pellet, wag and bomb. There's a few fish cruising around, so I expect to catch on that quite quickly. As you can see, there's a whole array of bait in front of me here, but you've got to break your match down into sections. So for the first part, I'm basically going to be using a couple of bags of 8mm fishery pellets as feed and on the hook. That's hopefully going to give me time to feed my short line and my edge line in preparation for a couple of hours into the match when I can start to come short, and hopefully the fish will be lined up waiting for me. So to start off, I've got 2 bags of 8mm pellets. Whilst I'm fishing that, I'm going to be feeding my short line, which I intend to fish paste and meat over. Now, the 2 meats I've brought, Bait-Tech Entice Polony and the Mighty Meat Boosted. This Entice, I'll never go anywhere without it. It's absolutely deadly. It's really, really spicy, really, really pungent. So I'll mix those two 50-50. I've cut them up into 8mm cubes just so I can feed them by hand at the short sort of 6-7 metres where I'm going to be fishing. I'll also be feeding very, very heavily with a 6mm coarse pellet, again fishery owned pellets, which I intend to fish paste over. Now, paste itself can be quite an intricate thing to use, and a lot of people confuse themselves an awful lot with it. So what I'm going to do is quickly show you how I make my paste. Very, very simple. There's no added ingredients, no secrets, no anything like that. It's simply out of a bag with water. Couldn't be simpler. So let me just clear some of this out of the way, and I'll show you exactly how I do it. Right. Quite simply, a bait tub with a little bit of water in the bottom, about 1 inch or 2 should be fine. And then all I'm using is the Bait-Tech Special G Gold. Very, very important when you're doing it like this to put your water in first and then add your ground bait to the water. It's completely different from mixing ground bait, but you're not looking to mix a ground bait, you're looking to make a paste. So we've got our water, and we're going to literally just add probably about 250 mils, something like that, of the powder mix, and give it a good mix. And you can see it's all starting to... Right, now what you've got there is basically soup. But what's going to happen now, if you leave that for 5 or 10 minutes, all those little particles are going to start sucking up water. It's going to expand. You can already see it starting to thicken. So I'll do this as soon as I get to my peg, and I'll literally put it to one side and forget about it for a quarter of an hour. What happens then? After 15 minutes you're left with this. As you can see, all the particles have absorbed all the water, and you've got a lovely soft paste that you can fish with straight away. The beauty of doing this is you can add a little bit more powder if you want to stiffen it up slightly. All you do is put a little sprinkling in, give it a good stir, leave it alone again. Or if you want to make it a little bit softer, just add a touch more water and give it a mix again. Very, very simple, and that's it. There's nothing more confusing than people wondering what's going on in a paste, it's purely a bag of Special G Gold, nothing else. Moving on to our short line, as we've discussed the paste, I'm just going to talk about quickly meat fishing. I do things slightly different to the norm here. A lot of people fish meat and hemp. A lot of people feed chili hemp with meat, especially with the enticed polony because it's spiced. But I actually feed it with pellets. Because of the head of skimmers that are in the Specie Lake here, I don't want to miss out on catching those. So I'll feed heavily with pellets. I'll also drip in some meat, and I'll fish meat over the top. And then I can gauge whether the carp are coming in, whether to stay on the skimmers, and I can build a swim from there. But the carp and the skimmers absolutely adore pellets here, so I'd stick with those as a feed base. Lastly, we're going to look down the edge. Now, the one thing that's almost revolutionised edge fishing, as we know it, is the use of ground bait. I've literally got 2 bags, bag of enticed meaty mix, bag of Special G Gold, and mix them up, as you can see there. Now this is to be fed loose down the edge, but it'll give me options of fishing several different hook baits over the top. I can fish meat. I've got a big bag of maggots, dead maggots, which I'll feed with it. And I've also got some worms for the hook. Now, as we know with edge fishing, we're looking for some real big fish, so don't be afraid of giving them some bait. They'll come in and eat this before you know it, so it's very, very important that we feed it with a set timing strategy, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on.